My name is Dr. Gordon Worley. I'm a professor of pediatrics at Duke. I'm a specialist in neurodevelopmental disabilities, which is the study of children with disabilities. I recognized that I was seeing something new, not in the literature, that is the association in older children of cognitive decline to a dementia-like state, a real regression. Children previously able to read, not being able to read. Children previously able to care for themselves, not being able to care for themselves. And associated with this was the development of autistic characteristics, the lack of emotional connection that children have with other people just naturally. And then finally these children had insomnia. And when I saw the second case, I said, I wonder if this is a new thing. And so I kept my eyes peeled for other cases. And in the following 10 years, we have found at Duke a total of now 14 cases, 11 of which we've prepared for publication. Second thing I noticed was that it was predominantly female in the children I was seeing as compared to the younger children with autism who have been described in the literature, who are predominantly male. And then finally, it was associated with insomnia, and autism is not. And I began to wonder about what the cause of this might be. And because it resembled a condition called Hashimoto's encephalopathy, I looked for evidence of autoimmunity in this group of children, and I found it. Because you can do something about it if you find it early. The patients whom I found had this association were all discovered 4 years after they had begun to deteriorate, which is too late for the treatments, which are IVIG, intravenous immunoglobulin, IVIG, or steroids. These are standard treatments for immunological diseases, some kinds of immunological diseases. Too late for these standard treatments to work. So my hope is that with wider, earlier recognition, we and other groups can treat people with this disintegrative disorder, as I've called it, in time to make a difference. Well, we are fortunate at Duke to have really one of the foremost brain imaging centers in the United States. And so we really have the very fanciest of gadgets to look at brain function and structure and composition. And using this kind of technique hasn't been done before in people with Down syndrome. And it's a potentially very powerful tool to figure out why children and adults with Down syndrome have much more trouble thinking than people without Down syndrome do. And so we're going to do a structural connectome. It's called a functional connectome, and we're going to measure brain iron. So what is a connectome? It's the latest lingo, but it means how do different parts of the brain connect with each other? How strong are the connections? How do these connections we can find out in Down syndrome compare to the strength of the connections in people without Down syndrome? Are the connections the same but weaker? Are they different? And you know, the importance of this is that you can now identify the specific tracks, the specific fiber tracks, and we know a lot about these. We know the neurotransmitters in many of these tracks. And it's been shown here at Duke and in other places that if you augment neurotransmission in a track, you can really increase the function of that track. And so what we hope to do is to use this fancy gadget to find the tracks that are deficient and then give medications that will improve neurotransmission in those tracks. The next thing we're doing along with this study is to look at brain iron concentration in different parts of the brain. Now, iron is something that is really important in development. If you don't have enough iron, your brain doesn't develop normally. And it's also important as people age, because if you have too much iron as you age, you get brain damage from the production of metabolites of the mitochondria called reactive free radicals, or reactive oxygen species. And these damage the cell and kill the cell eventually. And we know that this type of damage is present in adults with Down syndrome. And so we're going to look for one of the causes of this type of damage in adults with Down syndrome. We wouldn't be spending our time trying to think of ways to help people with Down syndrome if we didn't think there was a good chance that we could get going on the projects. And so I would say that it's as much a part of attitude on that it's resulted in our change in our attitude as it is specific results, that we are thinking out of the box because we can, because of Anna's Angels, and we are lucky to have them helping us. We think the world of Michelle Pfeiffer and Andy Merrill's. They're just great.